James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guest will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 9 p.m. right here on The Answer San Diego.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 AM The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
Yeah. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. We have another outstanding, fantastic show coming your way. And I tell you what, this show is so important because it's something that's going to happen to us every day that we have no control of. We have no control, but we can help slow down that process. I'm talking about aging. And it's so many things that we need to understand on how we could, I like most people that want to find the fountain of youth. We got an absolutely fantastic guest on the show today that's going to talk about this subject that I'm talking about. And I tell you what, I'm not going to give it away. I know you already know how Dr. Michelle is. Yeah, if I got the bag, she's going to beat me up. So how you doing, Dr. Cooley? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, the weather's gorgeous today. It's like in the mid 80s. It's really weird in Texas, but we're soaking it up.
Oh, we're soaking it up. And I tell you what, Michelle, I'll be in California in a couple of days. So it's going to be even better there. So I'm excited about the show today. And this topic that, just like I mentioned, the fountain of youth, everybody's trying to get that. I don't know if it's water or whatever it is to slow down the process, but I'm excited about this guest, Michelle. Can you do the honors by introducing the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce this absolutely fantastic guest?
Oh, most definitely. So, audience, the title of today's show is called The Ageless Revolution, and we're having a sit-down conversation with Dr. Michael Aziz. He's a renowned internist, anti-aging, regenerative physician specialist, and an author. He's going to talk about the 10 hallmarks of aging, the anti-aging secrets of the 5 blue zones, the dangers of popular diets and how they negatively affect the 10 hallmarks, how to fight the right anti-aging doctor. Again, he's a physician, author, broadcast media commentator. He's a board-certified internal medicine. He's an attending physician at Lenox Hill Hospital. He completed his training at Long Island Jewish Medical Center and Staten Island University Hospital. He's a member of the American College of Physicians, the American Society of Internal Medicine. He retrained with the American Academy of Anti-Aging and Functional Medicine. Dr. Aziz authored The Perfect 10 Diet, a diet that encourages full-fat products from butter to whole milk. It was a sharp contrast to the low-fat dogma. The Perfect 10 Diet was also different from both low-carb and keto diets. He authored his second book called The Ageless Revolution. It was the COVID-19 pandemic that showed him our vulnerability as a nation with higher death rates compared to other nations that weathered the pandemic better. He stated, as Americans, we are leaving 2 decades on the table that we can live in great health. The Ageless Revolution is a book that promotes anti-aging, great health, and longevity through diet, lifestyle, supplements, medications, and peptides. The book has hit the #1 spot in many health conditions on Amazon pre-sale. Please welcome to the show, Dr. Michael Aziz.
How you doing, Doc?
Thanks so much, Michelle, and thanks so much, James, for giving me that opportunity to be with you today.
You know, it's an absolute pleasure having you on, Mike, because one thing that everybody is trying to, I guess, beat is time. They don't want to age. We're going to age, but we can age gracefully. And there's things in your book that we're going to talk about today will incite others on some of the things that they need to do to, I wouldn't say slow down the aging process, but help enjoy that process as we go. So, hey, Dr. Mike, can you tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about you, where you grew up, what makes you so passionate about what you do?
So I'm a U.S. citizen. I was born in Alexandria, Egypt. I came to the States when I was young, and I came back after medical school. I lived on Long Island for a couple of years, from age 13 to 15. I trained at Staten Island University Hospital, Long Island Jewish Medical Center. I've been in practice for 35 years. I practice in New York City. I retrained about 20 years ago in functional medicine because I felt that traditional medicine was failing my patients in a great way, and I had to get to the root cause of the problem. Many of the conditions that doctors treat today is mostly like putting a Band-Aid on the disease, whether it's high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol. And it's a different concept to treat aging as a disease, because aging is a disease that causes all the age-related diseases to happen. And it shortens our life. It robs us of our youth. It robs us of our health. And eventually it robs us out of our lives.
Wow. You know, and you wrote the book that's #1 bestseller on Amazon called The Ageless Revolution. Can you tell our viewers what caused you to come up with that title, why you wrote the book, and what they can expect to get from it? I know we got 3 more segments, but we just want to top it off right there, right now. And we're going to go off into a lot of things in your book.
I wrote The Ageless Revolution because doctors don't treat aging as a disease. You go to the doctor, your traditional doctor, your regular doctor, and even though his intentions are very good, we were not trained to treat aging as a disease. And we're just putting, again, a Band-Aid on the problem. And I really wanted to share with the audience, the readers of the book, all the advances that happened in medicine in the last 20 years, that we can age in a completely different way than our parents and grandparents. And this is not a biohack book, because this is a book based on medical science. It's based on all the advances in medicine about the hallmarks of aging. The hallmarks of aging were discovered about, in 2012, and 3 more hallmarks were added in 2022. And you may see some doctors on YouTube talking about 1 or 2 hallmarks, but no one is comprehensive enough to target all the hallmarks of aging. And what I'm really doing in this book is I'm throwing the kitchen sink at all the hallmarks of aging. So I'm attacking aging from every angle, from lifestyle to supplements and medication. And although we don't have human studies, I am sure that if people do as much or as little from this book, they're going to benefit a lot.
Well, you talk about the hallmark. Let's get off into that one. Can you explain to our viewers and our listeners the 10 hallmarks that you talk about in your book. I mean, we're not going to be able to we got about 3 minutes break. 3 minutes
That's why I wrote the book. It's a lot of information, but we can touch on one. So basically, what's the hallmark of aging? It's the reasons why our cells deteriorate, why they get damaged, and then when they get damaged, aging happens, and then we get, our sugar is up, and then the doctor tells you, what, you have prediabetes, you have high blood pressure, and he treats you. But the reasons why we're getting those things is because the cells are deteriorating, they're aging. So if I could talk about one hallmark of aging, and from the 12 hallmarks, is gut health. Gut health is so important. It was just recently added, and it's about, in our gut lives 36 trillion bacteria. We have more bacteria in our gut than all the cells in our bodies. And believe it or not, there are about 8 pounds of bacteria in our gut, and we don't take care of those bacteria. We have good bacteria and bad bacteria. The good bacteria are very, very important in longevity because they make vitamin K2 that opens the arteries and prevent heart disease. They make a product called urolithin, which protects the mitochondria, the battery of the cells. And if we don't take care of those bacteria, like we don't here in the United States, we don't eat enough fiber, we don't eat enough fermented food, we don't eat enough yogurt, there will be inflammation. And right now, we have an epidemic of colon cancer in young men. Colon cancer is the number one cancer in men below age 50. It's even happening in teenagers, and that's because we're not taking care of our gut bacteria. So that's one hallmark of aging that we're really neglecting.
Wow, we're going to get off into all of the hallmarks, but you mentioned gut bacteria. I mean, we have many doctors on our show that talk about that, so I know it's important that we understand, just like what you just mentioned, that all bacteria that's in your gut is not bad. I mean, a lot of folks think that, I got bacteria, that means it's bad. But it's some of the bacteria that we probably need to get rid of. 1 minute before the break, can you touch bases on that a little bit?
Well, there are bad bacteria, and those bacteria can cause diarrhea if we get food poisoning. But if we have good bacteria, those good bacteria make the product that I just mentioned that protect the mitochondria, the battery of our cells, and make vitamin K2, which opens the arteries. And we see in countries, the blue zones, that's the 5 areas in the world where many centenarians live, and they make it to 100. They're eating a lot of fermented food. They're eating a lot of vegetables. They're eating a lot of fiber. And each blue zone has its dish that allows their gut bacteria to flourish. So, and even outside the blue zones, we have in South Korea, women are eating kimchi, which is fermented vegetables. And believe it or not, women in South Korea are going to be the first to live to age 90 in the next few years. They're gonna outpace everyone in the world. And that's because they're taking care of their gut bacteria.
Hold that, though. We got to take a station break. I'm excited because we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the 10 hallmarks. I think Doc mentioned there was 12 now, but we're going to pick it up. And I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching us on, whether you're watching us on E360 television, Transfer TV, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Rumble, and over 68 other platforms, including radio, AM 660 The Answer in Dallas, AM 1170 Answer in San Diego. Welcome to the show. If you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the comments, ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll be back with a lot more Dr. Mike right after the commercials.
Dr. J.C. Cooley. It's the J. Cooley Show. It's your life.
Really get a chance to know who you are. And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
A Black Man's Point of View is the newest Amazon.com #1 release and bestseller book from author Dr. James J.C. Cooley, featuring the perspective from 11 other contributing authors. In A Black Man's Point of View, Dr. James Cooley unpacks his thoughts and personal experiences about the challenges, stereotypes, and feelings of self-worth that many black men face today due to a 400-year ancestry rooted in slavery and colonization. Yet, how so many black men move forward despite this history. Most importantly, A Black Man's Point of View conveys that all men, regardless of race, creed, or color, are capable of love, respect, and dignity. Described as a map to a greater life from the heart of a man who's experienced life's misfortune and harsh conditions, James shows us how beliefs, convictions, and a healthy mentality can help propel a life worth living. A must-read for all. Order your copy of A Black Man's Point of View by author Dr. James J.C. Cooley today from Amazon.com or wherever books are sold.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 a.m. The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore them or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley, and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on 660 a.m. The Answer in Dallas-Fort Worth.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, and my great guest here, Dr. Mike Aziz. I tell you, he's talking about some things that, and we're going to continue to talk about things that I think that are so important to us in having a healthy life, being able to live longer, and, things that's going to make you feel good inside and out. So I tell you, whichever platform that you're watching us on, if you want to be part of the conversation, go to the comments, ask any questions that you might have. I promise you, Dr. Mike got an answer for you, I can tell. Dr. Mike, I want to pick it back up because you talked about one of the hallmarks, and then you were saying about certain foods, something about far as bacteria in the system, and certain things that are good, just like kimchi. I don't know about you, but I like kimchi.
It's whatever you want to do. Sometimes people can pick up a yogurt. If they're allergic to dairy, they can do kombucha. So it's just one of the few tricks up my sleeve to have gut bacteria is to incorporate probiotics in any way you can. And to eat, of course, trying to eat more vegetables, more green vegetables, and have more fiber in our diet.
I think that's so important that we do that, because can you explain to our viewers, a lot of our viewers are not healthy eaters. They don't even understand. They don't know what fiber, having more fiber in the system and what fiber comes from. I'm talking about not just fiber, but that's important. Can you talk about that one a little bit?
Well, fiber is really an insoluble part of the food that's present in vegetable that the body cannot digest. But that is the food for the bacteria in our gut, and that's what they eat. And of course, we don't eat enough vegetables in this country. We're eating a lot of processed food. We're eating a lot of fast food. We're eating a lot of sugar. We're also eating a lot of vegetable oils, seed oils. They've been in the news lately, all the vegetable oil. And they cause inflammation. And inflammation is not only aging, but it's also disease. And that's maybe the cause why we have an epidemic of colon cancer in this country as well.
So before we get to the next hallmark, what are some of the recommended, right now, that you can tell our audience, since we got their attention, that is going to create and give them the fiber, the green vegetables, that they need? Can you identify some of them? Because
yeah, sure. Well, I would say that people have to do their very best to eat a lot of vegetables every day, from to 9 vegetables a day, depending upon your body type, green leafy vegetables, and do a variety. Do broccoli, do lettuce, do cucumber, whatever you like. And my advice, I really want to make the Ageless Revolution doable. So I would say cut down on the processed food, cut down on the white rice, cut down on the pasta, cut down on the pizza. If you want to do those types of food, just do it maybe once a week and do it in small amounts. So if I order some Chinese food, then I'm not going to eat all the rice. I just limit the amounts. I just know that I have to burn that rice by going on the treadmill. So I want the Ageless Revolution to be also not only doable, I want it to be practical. So people can do as much as they can from this book. They can do as little or as much as they want, and whatever they do is going to lead to an impact on their longevity and their health span.
Well, I like that because I personally I had gained a whole lot of weight, not because I wasn't eating the right foods, not doing the right things, exercising. But listening to great doctors like you, that kind of reshaped my mindset. And so we try to eat healthy. We try not to eat the McDonald's, the Wendy's, all of those places out there. We try to eat healthy. And lately, I believe that just what you said about the vegetables, get more vegetables. Would you say the vegetables that most people need to get the right fiber, would it be raw vegetables or would it be steamed vegetables?
When we take a look at the blue zones and people who have the longest life in the world, not just the blue zones, I go in this book to look at the diet in Hong Kong, where they live to 88. I go to Monaco, where they live to 90. I go to Switzerland, where they live to 90. So I want to go beyond the blue zones because they are on the extreme. There's so many centenarians there. I don't know if I'm going to make it to 100. But when we take a look at those people, they almost have one thing in common. They're eating a lot of plant-based diet. They eat a lot of vegetables. It doesn't have to be cooked. It doesn't have to be raw. There's pros and cons for each one. So when you cook the food, you're destroying the vitamins, but you're having more minerals in the food. So I would say do a combination. You can have salad and you can also have cooked mixed vegetables. Perfectly acceptable. It's not going to affect your longevity in any bad way.
Wow. So I want to jump right back into the hallmarks. I know we talked about one. Let's get back into your book. The next two hallmarks that you wrote in this great book.
So there is another hallmark of aging where the end cap of the chromosomes are called telomeres. So think of them as the end cap in the shoelaces. And every time the cells divide, the telomeres get shorter and shorter till eventually there's no more cell division. And if there is no cell division, it's really cellular death. And shorter telomeres mean shorter life. Longer telomeres mean longer life. And one way to have longer telomeres is by eating more fish, more seafood, having more omega-3 fatty acids, whether you are eating a lot of seafood or you're just taking a supplement, which we know that taking a fish oil supplement can give people an extra 4 or 5 years. We are very deficient in this country also in vitamin D, especially if we live in the northern part of the country. If you're in Illinois, if you're in Michigan, vitamin D doesn't really come from food. It really comes from the sun. And we're deficient in vitamin D. And vitamin D also plays a role in the length of the telomeres. Stress also makes the telomeres short. So all those factors play a role in having longer telomeres. And pretty much in my book, I talk about how to have longer telomeres in a variety of ways beyond the diet, beyond dealing with stress. So fish oil, vitamin D are very important for longevity as well. And vitamin D played a huge role in the high number of people who died of COVID-19 pandemic in the United States. When you take a look at the statistics we had here in the United States, they were horrible. We had 10 times the mortality of Japan. The mortality in New York was much higher than Florida, which had almost no restrictions. And that tells you how important vitamin D plays a role in our immune system and in the lengthening of the telomeres in our immune system and so on.
Oh, you mentioned vitamin D, and you also mentioned You caught my attention with vitamin E, even with the not tablet that we take.
No, vitamin E is not good for longevity. Vitamin E is not good for longevity. There are a lot of studies that show vitamin E, if you take synthetic vitamin E, is linked to more strokes and heart attack. I would recommend vitamin D3 with some fish oil or some yogurt, especially if you have, in the African American community or people who have darker skin, Hispanics, very hard to absorb vitamin D. You can see, like today I'm in New York, there's snow outside, it's raining, I've been indoors all day. So I take that's the next best thing, is to take vitamin D as a supplement.
But that's what I was getting ready to say. Being a Black person, vitamin D is unless, we take it orally. We're outside is not going to help African Americans that much, and making sure you get the right amount.
Yeah.
Is that a true statement?
Yes, people have to take at least 5,000, but you also have to keep an eye on your levels. You have to do a blood test. You have to be closer to 60, because if you go too high to 90 or 100, you can have vitamin D toxicity, which is not a good thing, because it's a fat-soluble vitamin. People can have toxicity with fat-soluble vitamin versus water-soluble vitamins like the B complex. So it's always good to have a doctor who understands that and keeps an eye on the levels of vitamins. Obviously, when you have a car, you just don't put gasoline. You only fill it till the tank is full, or you put enough oil till the tank is full. You don't just put oil blindly till it's flooding everywhere.
So what would you tell our viewers out there that's listening to this, I'm talking about this portion of Hallmark number 2 or 3, whichever one you're on, that they need to focus on right now, because we got about 2 minutes before the break?
I would say a very important hallmark of aging is also the accumulation of old cells. We have young cells in our bodies and we have old cells. And the old cells not only do not work, they also secrete cytokines and chemicals that disrupt the young cells, and you have to get rid of them. So one way also to have longer longevity is caloric restriction. So skipping a meal once in a while is fine. So every 2-3 days, skip a meal. We're always brainwashed, hey, eat every 3 hours. But that's a concept from bodybuilders who want to be like 300 pounds of muscles. But it's okay to skip a meal. We find in Okinawa, Japan, they only eat till they're 80% full. So one way to do caloric restriction is what I do on the weekend is when I wake up in the morning, I have a little bit of tea, and then I usually just eat brunch and dinner at 12 and 6. And that's my 2 meals on the weekend. It's easy to do. I'm not hungry. I'm not starving. I'm not feeling deprived. I don't feel like I'm restricting myself. So that's one way to get rid of the old cells.
Yeah, you this is the first time I heard that concept. There are old cells, well, of course, in my body, I know there's a lot of old cells.
Well, you can get rid of them.
But you said there's old cells and new cells.
Yes, the young cells.
Young cells. How do 30 seconds? How do we distinguish something about between possibly how many you might have in your system and the benefit that it's going to give you?
There are no tests for that, but studies done on animals, especially at the Mayo Clinic, showed that mice that got rid of their old cells, they had more energy, they were more vibrant, they were more useful in multiple ways. Unfortunately, we do not have human studies to show, but the studies done on caloric restriction have been replicated in many species, from all the animals, mice, even monkeys. So I'm sure it's going to apply to humans. There are some studies that show caloric restriction in humans have been detrimental, but that's because sometimes what happens is you may not eat breakfast, but then you're going to eat fast food for lunch and dinner. You're not going to get any benefits. You still have to do the right thing when you eat 2 meals a day. You're still going to have to eat a lot of vegetables, salads, low sugar fruits. You're not going to eat fast food and trans fats and vegetable oil, which will cause inflammation.
Hold that thought, because when I come back, I want you to tell our viewers and listeners how they get rid of the old cells. I know you're enjoying this conversation, and I tell you, if you want to be part of this conversation with Dr. Mike, all you got to do is go to the platform that you're watching this on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you, we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Dr. James JC Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's life.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I tell you, we're talking about the Ageless revolution. And I got, I hope I can call this guy my friend, because now he is putting it out there. And his new book, if you don't have it, Doc, tell them how they can get your book. Come on now, tell them.
The book has been out for 10 days. It's available everywhere where books are sold, on Amazon, Target, Barnes & Noble, everywhere. It's available in Kindle. It's available on audio.
Did you do the audio portion yourself?
The publishing company asked me, but I've been so busy. I'm working in my office. I work full time. And for me, writing this book took a lot of effort, because I'm really presenting to the viewers and to the readers a very complex subject, and I wanted to make it as simple as possible. I don't want the book to be superficial, just eat right and exercise. I don't want the book to be just very simple. And a lot of the, Dr. Cooley, a lot of the books that were written by my predecessors were really targeting the very advanced people in anti-aging, the people who are really, or the super rich. And I really don't want to do that. I right now, for you to live a long life in America, you have to be not only rich, you have to be super rich. You can buy, the super rich, they buy yachts, they buy planes, they buy big mansions, and they also buy longevity by having access to the best doctors. And I want to make my program affordable, practical for everybody, for all the forgotten men and women in this country who are lost in a failed medical system, in a system that doesn't view aging as a disease, that put a Band-Aid on the problem. So it took me a lot of effort to make the book simple and practical, doable, and affordable. Most importantly, affordable for everyone, regardless of where you are.
You know what? And that's the most important thing is everything that you said, because life right now, and as you see in politics, I don't talk about politics, but it's not about the common folk. People that run our country are in a lot of nations ultra rich, and that's what folks look up to, the people that are ultra rich, and they forget about that they're never going to be there because of the situation circumstances. Your book, I like what you said. You wrote it, and you wrote it to what anybody can understand if they buy the book and read it. And this your audio book, you said you had the company to do it. My book,
didn't have the time now.
no, my books, at least one of my books, I did not. A Country Boy, City Boy journey ain't over yet, right? The publisher came to me and asked me to do the audio book, and guess what? I agreed. But man, that was more challenging than writing the book because every time I messed up, every time they make me start over. But we got it done. But I want to get back to we talked about getting rid of the bad
old cells. Yes.
Wholesale. What would you tell our viewers that's locked in on it? Like, how do I get rid of these old cells and bring in new cells?
Well, caloric restriction is the easiest way to do it. It's the cheapest one. You just skip a meal 2-3 days a week, and that's easy to do. Skip breakfast or skip dinner. Have a late lunch at 4 or 5 o'clock. Like today, I did not have lunch. I had breakfast in the morning, so when I go home, 5 o'clock, I'm going to eat, and that's my 8 hours of intermittent fasting. For people who cannot do that, who have medical condition, there are some supplements to take that are quite affordable. They can get rid of the old cell, the senescent cells, like fisetin at a dose of 150 to 200 milligram a day. Quercetin, which is from apples, that also can get rid of the senescent cells, the old cells. And that's one way to do it if you think that caloric restriction is not the right thing to do for you.
You talk about the blue zone. I mean, I heard you mention that a few times early in the show. I want to hear what is the blue zone and what should they see or expect from that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. The voice went out a little bit.
The blue zone.
Yes.
And I said, could you talk about that? Could you tell our viewers and our listeners what is the blue zone? What can they expect to get from that? And why? I mean, by reading a book and listening to you, can you talk about the blue zones?
Sure. Well, there are many books that talked about the blue zones. They were discovered by Dan Buettner, who traveled around the world, and he found 5 areas in the world where many people who live in these parts of the world are centenarians and do not have the age-related diseases that we have. They are living to 90 and 100, and they're still active. They're happy. So there's 5 areas. There's Okinawa, Japan. That's lot of centenaries. They call it the land of immortals. Sardinia in Italy, Icaria in Greece, and there is Nicoya in Costa Rica. And believe it or not, we do have also a blue zone in California called the Loma Linda. And it's a religious group that eat a lot of vegetables, and many of them are centenarians. And there is a 6th blue zone right now, which is a manufactured blue zone. It's Singapore. And they were able to extend their life, and they are reaching also very, very advanced age because the government played a huge role in making it very cost prohibitive to drive. So many people walk. They also control the amount of sugar they eat. So that's now the newest blue zone, the 6th blue zone.
But you mentioned the blue zones, and you mentioned all the different areas where that's located. But for the viewers out there to understand these zones, and you mentioned some of the stuff out there doing things differently. How can they get a better understanding of what they are doing in those 6 different places and what changes they need to make if they want to, be a part of longevity in the ageless process?
Well, those 5 different areas, the 5 blue zones, have huge differences, but they share few things in common. The few things that they share is they share a plant-based diet. 90% of their diet come from plants, so they're not eating keto, they're not eating high protein, low carb, they're not loading up on the bacon and sausage. They are exercising a lot, without going to the gym, without having a Fitbit. Exercise is built in their daily routine. Sardinia has a lot of hills, and they do 10,000 steps going up the hills. In Okinawa, Japan, they have no furniture, so they're up and down 100 times, sitting on the floor, and so on. And they also are very happy. They have a strong family and friendship. They cherish their friendship and their family, so they have a purpose. And when you have that help with your stress level. And stress kills people because cortisol shortens the telomeres that we talked about before, the shortened telomeres when your chromosomes get shorter. So they always have a purpose, and that's how they're able to make it.
So, Doc, when you wrote this book, did you travel to any of these places overseas to see and get a better understanding how they lived?
Yeah, I've been to Sardinia, and I did not know about the blue zones at the time, but I've met people who are really, really quite old, and they don't have the problem we have here. Like, I talk in the book how living in New York can shorten your life from all the stress. It's like it can kill anybody. Yeah, so those people are eating also organic food without knowing it. They're eating fermented food, without also knowing it. Like you talked about the gut bacteria, and they are happy. They have a purpose. They're not stressed, and that's very, very important for longevity. But I don't want the book to be about the blue zones because I have so many books written about the blue zones before. I'm not number 10 in the list. This book is about, yes, those people live a long life, but what are you going to do now? What is the doctor going to do for you? Because I don't live in Sardinia. I don't live in Okinawa. So now what are the things right now in medicine that can lead for us to live a long life? And that's why the second part of the book is more advanced, where this is what you need to do to live a longer life. This is all the advances. This is all the supplements you could take. These are all the medications that can make you live a long life. This is what the doctor can do for you. These are the new labs that I want you to do, because all this is a revolution in the last 20 years in healthcare that no one is talking about, and doctors do not check for those tests.
Wow. You know what? We're going to take a station break, but I want to come back. I want to hear more. I find you fascinating, Dr. Mike. And everything that you're talking about, I know is true, because we're going to talk about diets, and we're going to talk about nutrients and vitamins and all that when we get back in the next segment. So I'll tell you what, you might want to stick around. Dr. Mike got something in store for you. He's going to educate you, but you got to be willing to refocus on certain things. So if you want to be part of the conversation, all you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on. Ask any question that you might have. I promise you we'll get you an answer. It's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
Hey, 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 hey. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James JC Cooley.
The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, can be heard every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer. Life is full of circles, cycles, phases, and stages. It's your choice to ignore or embrace them. Motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the J.C. Cooley Foundation, James Cooley and his guests will inspire and equip you to strive for your own greatness and overcome adversities. Listen to The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life, every Sunday at 6 p.m. right here on The Answer.
Hello, I'm Dr. J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be on it, to be in the Coffee Book 2023, Unified Brain Z and the other organizations. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection.
Dr. James J.C. Cooley. The James Cooley Show. It's your life. Dr. James J.C. Cooley. That's right.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and I'm thoroughly enjoying this conversation with Dr. Michael Aziz, and educating me, and I know educating you as well. It requires an open mind, like I mentioned earlier. It requires a willingness to change. Sometimes it requires a willingness to push away from the McDonald's, the Wendy's, the Burger King, refocus on living longer, adjusting to, just like what Dr. Mike mentioned, a lot of vegetables in our diet, and a lot of understanding also got included. I believe we have to include exercise as well. So, so I tell you, this segment, we're going to talk about a lot of things that people get caught up in, like popular diets, weight loss, get quick, all that stuff that might work for a little bit, but then it destroys your body. Yeah, so if you want to be part of that conversation, all you have to do is just reach out to Dr. Mike. On this show, you can reach out to him after the show, because I think he's a great doctor. Dr. Mike, I want to talk about that just a little bit, about fad diets and all this, and what's popular, and everybody just run to it, and they're like, this is going to help me live longer and all this other type of stuff, because that's the goal. Ain't nobody just sitting back and saying, hey, I'm ready to die. I mean, at least I don't think so. And you talk about the ageless revolution. Can you talk about that a little bit? Because diet and these fat diets and all this other type of stuff, get rich quick, you die as far as whoever is doing that. But then they end up hurting people. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Well, it's very important for someone to be fit, because obesity can cause cancer in many ways. When people are overweight, they have too much estrogen, which is linked to cancer in women. The excess fat in the belly creates a hormone called estrogen, which is cancer producing, and we have an epidemic of cancer also in women. And the problem is sometimes people follow fat diets. They follow low fat, low carb, or the popular diet with packaged foods, and that's totally opposite that what the blue zones, or where people will live the longest, do. And many times people judge their success by how many pounds they lost on their bathroom scale, but they don't realize that they also shaved a few years of their lives by following those popular diets, because low-fat diets are very high in sugar. They were invented in the 70s by politicians. They had no scientific basis. Before you know it, we started to eat cereals and baked potato and bread and pasta. And now we have an epidemic of diabetes and obesity in the United States. And sugar works against the hallmarks of aging. It works against us because it inhibits a gene called a FOXO gene, and that gene is linked to longevity. So sugar makes us age very fast. It also burns a molecule in the body called NADH, and NADH works on another gene in the body called sirtuin-1, and that's linked to longevity. So when you eat sugar, you're really accelerating your aging process. And then with the failure of low-fat diet, people eat low-carb, keto, which are very, very popular. And that's you loading up on animal products and animal protein. And then again, that is opposite of what the blue zones do. They eat mostly a plant-based diet with less animal products. And when you load up on too much protein, especially processed meat, bacon, sausage, hot dogs, those processed meat are full of nitrites, and nitrites are linked to colon cancer. They're linked to gastric cancer. So when you eat the bad protein choices, you really are also damaging your DNA. I want to protect the DNA. So unfortunately, we're on the wrong tracks when it comes to all the popular diets, whether it's packaged food sitting in the supermarket shelf for 4 years and you just picked it up because it has 200 calories, or you're just eating a low-fat cereal, or you're just following the keto diet of the day by eating eggs and bacon and think, oh, I avoided sugar, but eating a lot of other chemicals that are bad for your genes and your cells.
Wow. Hey, Doc, you need to have your own show because what you're saying, a lot of people don't want to hear, but they need to hear. When you talk about the different types of diet, you talk about the
The microphone is going away.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Hey, Doc, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was getting off into the conversation.
Yeah, keep the microphone like that.
So what I was saying was that everything that you're talking about right now, I find fascinating because it's true. And I believe that we have to educate the population. I'm talking about, and my show, as you already know, we're world. So it's people from all over the world listening to this. I think they need doctors like you to also educate them on the truth. It's not a money-making thing. I'm talking about, I don't think with you. I mean, you wrote a book that was great. I mean, everybody need to grab that book and get an understanding. But they also, if they need to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you and get more of this great knowledge that you're putting out?
Well, I share all my knowledge in the book, The Ageless Revolution. So I would suggest, because there's a lot of information to digest, and it's impossible to have all this information was in one consultation. So when I wrote the book, I want people to be educated. Like, again, I want my book to be for beginners, for mid-level and advanced people. You can take as little as you want or as much as you want. And you are right, doctors have to start the revolution. And the problem is many of the guidance we have from the government and even from prestigious medical institutions are wrong. They tell us to eat vegetable oil. They tell us to eat egg whites, which has hydrogenated oil. They tell us to eat cereals with low fat. They tell us to eat lean meat like ham. It's like this is opposite than what I advocate totally. And no wonder the public is not only lost, so they go for the next keto diet on the market or the next low carb diets. And then, they have a little twist here. They may tell you, don't eat this bacon, but eat that bacon, eat that ham, not that. It doesn't make a difference. It's the chemicals that are bad for us. It's the excess animal protein that is bad for us. Too much animal protein increases a waste product in the blood called uric acid, and high level of uric acid is linked to higher mortality. In fact, if you go to a cardiologist now, a new drug has been approved to lower uric acid, and it is showing remarkable advancement in reducing heart attack more than statins. So uric acid goes up when we load up on red meat and bacon and sausage, not to mention the chemicals we talked about, the nitrites. So I think it's a lot. That's why this book is really a revolution for people, for doctors, because I want people to eat clean. I want them to stay away from the chemicals. I want them to stay away from all the noise, including from the government. because we're really brainwashed with the wrong information. And I had to wake up myself because I used to be like one of those doctors. I believed everybody. I believed, oh, this is medical. How would I know more than a medical institution that is so prestigious or Ivy League? But I was brainwashed. I did not know about the corruption, the lobbyists, and all those people who are influencing those guidelines.
Wow. Real quickly, I want you to tell our viewers again, I know you undid it. How can they, I know we did this before, but we might have new viewers. How can they get your book and learn all of these things about what you wrote in there? So can you please tell them, and also how can they reach out to you if they want to talk to you more, or have you, I don't know if you telemedicine, I don't know where your practice is staying other than New York, but if you can tell our viewers and our listeners about this, because I like you, Doc.
I like you too. The book is available everywhere online and wherever books are sold, and all retailers, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and they can reach me by looking at my website, www.michaelazizmd.com. And I'm going to try to be a better author. I'm going to try to do as many interviews as possible like this one, because that's how the word gets out. That's how we educate people. That's how we create a revolution for people to get educated that, you know, this keto diet is bad for you. This bacon is bad for you. This low-fat cereal is bad for you. Again, and also the hallmarks of aging is a brand new field. Like I talk in my book, I share a story that when penicillin was discovered, it took 12 years for it to be commercialized and millions of people died. Now we know 12 hallmarks of aging and no one is talking about them. And there's a lot of weapons of how we can target aging as a disease. And that's why I wrote this book, because I assembled all this information for people to fight aging on the cellular level. And it's brand new information.
It is. And Doc, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. Stick around if you can after. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. I'd like to thank Dr. Michelle Cooley for putting together another absolutely fantastic show. I'd like to thank my producers in San Diego, Todd, and my producers in Dallas on my radio show, AM 660 The Answer in Dallas, AM 1170 Answer, and San Diego. But most importantly, I'd like to thank our viewers and our listeners for tuning in to the James Cooley Show Monday through Friday, and also on the weekend, Sundays. And you already know what time it is. Always, always dream big, think big, and be big at everything you do. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life, and we'll see you then.